with John DeSouza and my co-host David Rodriguez. Formerly, we were co-hosts of Dark to Light, and Dark to Light is still alive. It's great to be with you guys. I'll hand it over to you, David, to ask the first question. But anybody who has been living on a rock, probably under a rock, probably doesn't know John DeSouza or David Nino Rodriguez. I'd be very surprised. But for all new listeners, let me just tell you a little bit about them. John DeSouza is former FBI agent. He is the kind of person that goes into the territory that a lot of other agents don't go. We're talking X-Files type information from the FBI. He's an author. I've got some of your books, Clear Hearers, right? And like you've done a whole bunch of books, and I'm going to put the links in. And of course, David Nino Rodriguez from Nino's Corner. He's been just unbelievable, just former heavyweight boxer champ. And now I love to say, and this is how he introduced him, he's a champ for humanity. And he is just nonstop and just doing a tremendous amount of work. So it's wonderful to be with both of you guys. And I just want to just hand it over to you, David, as my co-host, to maybe talk to John, ask him the first question.
Well, John, I mean, let's get into this, because I like to talk to you about what your past experiences was you were in the FBI, right? And you were in which my audience may have never heard of this, but a paranormal division.
No, there's no paranormal division, but I was an FBI special agent for 25 years. And I was basically just the subject matter expert for paranormal cases and things that had to do with the paranormal. It's different from having a division. It was very much like what you saw in the X-Files. If you ever saw that old show, it was just an agent or two just working these types of cases in general, and having a lot of pushback from our headquarters because we were doing that. That's how it worked.
So you were part of it. So you were involved in cases that could not be explained, that you would consider paranormal, like ghosts, any kind of paranormal activity, UFOs, things of that nature. That was kind of your specialty.
That was my specialty, yes, and it was the one that I would try to help out other law enforcement entities with whenever it would come up. And so yes, that was what I worked on.
Were they that prevalent?
No, they were not. But for the entire country, including Alaska and Hawaii, I mean, yeah, we came up with some cases in those.
What about the Alaskan Triangle and some of that? Was that all those weird sort of stories in Alaska? Was that?
Yeah, Alaska. We always had a lot of cases that had to do with unexplained. We'll put it that way. A lot of times we would explain these things as unexplained phenomena. And even if today, if you go to vault.fbi.gov, you can go there, which has the entire repository of all old cases in the FBI. And there's a big old button there that you can press on that says unexplained phenomena. It says unexplained phenomena, and you can press that button and everything will open up that's unexplained. Cattle mutilation cases, animal mutilation cases, UFOs. There's many sections of UFOs. There's extrasensory perception. I'm trying to remember the topics. And many others, Nino, that are also in there that you can just look at, and it is crazy stuff. It's amazing stuff.
Isn't your book Clear Hearers a lot of the testimonies? And that was later?
No, Clear Hearers is about a different set of circumstances. It's about and I was going to talk about this later. It's about Wired Magazine had an article a few years ago describing something called the Voice of God Weapon Returns. That was the title of the article. And it was a complete explanation of how the nations and basically the authorities over the nations have this voice to skull technology that's available to them. And they are using it. They're using it everywhere. Well, the problem now is that the cabal has been checking my book, Clear Hearers, very carefully. And they have now learned to fabricate the technology of Clear Hearers, where people are getting messages from their higher self, And this is an ability that we all have. Everybody's got it. You've got it, Nino.
Just the other day I was thinking about somebody. Okay, I didn't even say that person's. He's like a rock star. His name's I think it was Dio or Dio, or there's a documentary on him. I forgot, but I was just thinking of him, and I'm not kidding you. Within 20 minutes later, when I went to check my YouTube, he was the first video that popped up. Never ever. I was thinking about that individual. I didn't say anything. I didn't put it out there. But could it be possible that they're using that already? Like,
that's been a very common experience, Nino, to many people. There's a lot of whispers that somehow Google technology has now acquired the ability to sense the thoughts of people and to actually put it somehow into the browser mechanism of what's going on on your computer.
AI dark technology. But we want to cover that. So the clear hearers you were going to talk about at the end, but we want to jump into the bubble thing, went over Glacier, near where I live. If you want to go back to what we're talking about, I know we could go off on a lot about what
you want to talk about the Chinese balloon?
Yes, yes, exactly. This is very important.
Just in case, I just wanted to, because I'm the one who brought up clear hearers, and I didn't mean.
No, that's okay, Laura. But the Chinese spy balloon, I know, has a special connection to Laura because she's in Montana, and apparently Montana was one of the big targets.
Yeah, I'm probably the one that shot it down, though. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for doing that, Laura.
No problem.
That was really important to do because I don't know what kind of slingshot you use.
I only my squirt gun. No, well, we got a lot of. All right, I don't want to say too much. All right, so go ahead.
Good thinking. Don't tell people what you got. That's important. That's actually important, guys. Listen, I've been monitoring the blogosphere and this community for a long time, especially recently, to see what's going on with this. And apparently, nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going on. We got so many talking heads, and none of them gave us anything useful. Well, I have been in contact with my white hat military sources, and also I have significant aerospace industry sources. I don't know if you know, I'm in Arizona, and in Arizona we have very, very significant aerospace industry in this state. And some of them, I'm sorry to tell them, have some white hat elements in them where they want to help real people. They want to help real people. But this is the first time in my life that my white hat, my aerospace industry sources and my military sources have completely agreed on something wild. And here's what it is. First of all, the words Chinese spy balloon, the words themselves, Chinese spy balloons, were the first great hurdle of this psyop, was to get the media to reverberate this saying, this language all over the world and all throughout the media and all throughout even this community, and get everyone to speak these words, Chinese spy balloons. Because once they could get that language going, then they won the first part of this game. Because this is neuro-linguistic manipulation. It is absolutely not applicable, and that's why they wanted to get people saying it. These devices that we just saw go over everything, this is common technology with the high levels of our military and the aerospace industry. They are not, first of all, they are not Chinese. They are not spy devices. They are not for surveillance, and they're really not balloons either. So the whole programming is false, and I'll explain how. First of all, they're not Chinese in the sense that these things didn't come from China. They came with the with the assent, the agreement, and the cooperation of China. Yes, but they did not technically. They came right from our coasts. They came from our coasts.
Is this next level to like some negative alien blue beam thing, is there a dots connect to that? Because we know we love your expertise on the blue beam sort of fake alien invasion. And I don't mean to cut you off, but if we can tie it into that, maybe.
Yeah, I don't see a tie to that at this point, but maybe there will be very soon. But right now, these things are what we call advanced drone weapon systems. Advanced drone weapon systems. They may also have, because they are literally drones, they have the ability to move in many, and they are propelled, the movement is created through their own engines. They are able to move and manipulate wherever they want to. They are not just carried on the jet stream like balloons. That's not what's happening at all. They may have balloons with them.
Yet they call UFOs, when people like report them, they call them air bubble. Like, see, they're trying to fuck with everybody big time. Sorry, keep going.
Yes, absolutely. They are, but the first step to the effing around is getting that name on there. Chinese spy balloons. These things are, because they are advanced drone weapon systems, they are delivering, their main job is not surveillance, not taking pictures of anything. Their main jobs are delivering payloads, okay? Delivering payloads. I don't know who here has been in the military, but this is their primary purpose. There were 8, because if you just use your common sense, you have to use your common sense and your critical thinking skills. Do the Chinese need any pictures of our territory that they couldn't just get from their satellites?
Right.
No, they don't. They could get any pictures they want from their satellites or even from other methods that are a lot easier. And so
I heard they were reading communications and surveying or mapping responses.
Yeah, but
like
that's not their
response.
That could be, but it's not their purpose.
Okay.
Their purpose is delivering payloads. There were actually, I will in one second. There were actually 8 of them here at the time when the media was telling us there were 1 or 2. There were actually, and just getting us to focus on Montana and something else. There were actually 8 of them here at that time. Okay, the payload that these devices had and that were being delivered to different places in the United States was just a single in this case, radioactive isotope bullet. It was in the shape of a bullet. It was a radioactive isotope bullet that would be dropped in a certain place, in Montana in one case, for instance. It would be dropped and buried in the soil, whatever. It would be left there. And it would give off a signal.
Hit me in the head, because maybe this is what, I'm just kidding.
It would give off a signal.
Buried in the soil? Oh, wow.
Yeah, or any place similar to that. And it would just give off a signal that would serve as a marker. In the military, when you're attacking a whole group of targets that's far, far away, one of the things you want to do, if you can, is to light up the area with a laser marker, like a laser marker.
So they were dropping
That's
markers.
usually,
What is a laser marker? Not like a. How do you do that?
It's just a ball that sometimes is tritium. It's tritium or some other glowing material that gives off, and in many cases gives off lasers. In this case, it'll just give off radioactivity that will be as easily seen as a laser by special military goggles or by anything else. And that's what they did all around the country in order to lay down these markers to light up this world, so that the next wave be
an EMP attack.
Yes, exactly.
That's what it is.
That's
what scalar wave technology offset it.
So that now the next wave, they can vector them in to the target areas using these markers on the ground, and they can say, okay, they're coming in. This is where they detonate their devices to shut down the electrical grid. That's what they're doing, and that's what's going on here, guys. Listen, there's even now there's dozens of these devices that are still up there, and they are very easily able to avoid detection by being so high in altitude.
Okay,
Well,
but you said they planted them in the ground. Are they like landmines that are going to connect with this satellite kind of
No.
technology?
no, Laura, the markers are laid down in order to help vector in the next wave of these, I don't want to say balloons, but okay, of these Chinese spy balloons that are going to be coming in with the payload that is actually the detonation device that's going to shut down our grid. That's the only purpose of the markers. That is just to glow and to give off this thing. Guys, listen, I'm giving a reference so that people can educate themselves on what just happened. Politico.com has an article dated July 5th, 2022. It's called The Pentagon and DARPA Developing Balloon Weapons Systems. If you can read that article, guys, you will come to the same conclusion that I did, that these devices are not from China. They are not from China. It's very likely they are from the dark Pentagon and DARPA at this point, and of course the CIA as well. We had the CIA about like a year ago or a year and a half ago that just grabbed hold of a North Korean submarine that was off of our coast, and they actually launched a nuclear missile at Hawaii. And they did this in front of everybody. And this really happened. And then that nuclear missile, then of course we all know it disappeared. And there's been a lot
They've
of
done this to Hawaii before. Sorry. Wait,
Go ahead.
no. Keep going. No.
And so, Laura may know there's a lot of suspicions that the Pleiadians or somebody made that nuclear missile disappear because it wasn't intercepted. We didn't see it intercepted or blown up or anything. We just saw it just from 1 second to the next, it just disappeared.
So the first half of their plan has been accomplished.
Exactly. It has been accomplished because—
And while we have Biden as president, the second half is most likely going to be accomplished.
Exactly. They have to do it fast while Biden's clone is still in there.
Especially now that these House hearings are taking place and they're moving forward in that, they got to move fast.
Exactly. And so now here's the thing, guys, I urge you to read this article because it explains everything of what's going on right now. And it explains that the whole purpose of these weapon systems is not surveillance. It is to drop payloads into the area for the second wave. And they even say, and in this article, it says the second wave attack will be called the kill chain attack. As far as the military is concerned, that's what they call it. The kill chain attack, because it is an attack that is chained to these markers that are already down. They're already down. So the entire chain can be activated and the next wave of devices can be vectored in to the correct targets. There's only a few targets in the United States that you need to get in order to shut down the entire electrical grid of the nation. Right, Laura?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm trying to figure it out, but yeah. Does it have anything to do with the ring of fire and the fault lines and how certain things are in certain places? Like, what are your thoughts on Turkey and the earthquakes recently and like the ring of fire? That was like really a lot of people were talking about that in this window period, that there's some sort of understanding of the planetary grid network to create these weapon systems to target certain places, right? Wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll talk about Turkey in 1 second. I just wanted to finish saying that on the second wave, secretive small nukes in the high atmosphere will be detonated to wipe out with EMP our electrical grid throughout the nation. Nationwide blackouts are expected to result within millions.
So let me ask you this. Okay, let me ask you this. They accomplished the first part. Now they're going to probably accomplish the second part. What would be the third phase? So they knock out the electric grid, then what? Attack us with nukes? Attack us with just
zombies? The zombies. No.
Maybe, but no, the third phase is what I just mentioned, Nino, and it's for a good reason. The Chinese have always been very covetous of the land in the United States. That's why they don't want they don't want to destroy it. They've always been very covetous of, for instance, and the CCP are closely aligned with the cabal and with other actors and CIA and the other actors of the cabal. But they've always been very wary of the American populace, because the American populace is the only country in the world that all have guns. They all have guns. So the Chinese are concerned about that. Our guns that we have basically at this point outnumbers the PLA Republic Army. We outnumber them. So they need a way to defeat that point. The way that they're going to defeat that point, as far as they're concerned, is to create this nationwide blackout and then insert their elements to foment civil war, like Antifa, like Black Lives Matter, like Rumpus Society.
That's when they're going to use them.
Yes, but they're going to be used strategically.
But what about all the indoctrination with the transhuman, like gender confusion in the school? Sorry, David,
That's
go
just
ahead.
to weaken us. That's just to weaken us further.
Look at what they're doing to our kids.
Oh no,
the
absolutely.
puberty like blockers. Ah!
Yeah, that's all a part of the agenda from the cabal to destroy masculinity in this country, because they need to do that in order to dominate this country, in order to attack and to dominate. But like I said,
the tyrannical bullshit.
But like I was saying, the third phase is just for the Chinese to hang back and to allow Americans with all their guns to kill each other during a time.
And it's in a civil war.
Yes, yes. But it'll be even worse than the Civil War. It'll be a chaos war, because they're hoping it's going to be everybody against everybody.
But all the predictive programming in the movies, which movie would you say depicts what you're talking about? Has there been a movie?
There was a book and a movie that actually showed the aftermath of an EMP destruction of the country's grid. I think it was called 1 Minute After, something like that. 1 minute after.
I always watch all the apocalyptic Armageddon ones. I'm trying to remember too. I don't know.
But if we have a chat room going on, somebody will tell us what the name of that book and that movie is. It's tremendous.
I just saw it last night on
Really?
Netflix. No, I'm just saying somebody in the comments, right?
Oh, okay. It's a great movie, great book. The name is like 1 Minute After, something along those lines.
I think I saw it, but it's all surrounded by like 1984, right?
Yeah, but one of the interesting things it shows is that pretty much all law enforcement will be ordered to stand down. This is one of the points that Nino would actually have a very close connection to, which is that the reason they wanted to change this into Chinese spy balloons from what it really is, advanced drone weapon systems, is because the Biden clone administration, they don't want to be charged with treason right away. And so if they give it like a light, fluffy name, like, balloons, it makes you think of party balloons and children's parties.
Yeah.
And spying, spying isn't really that bad. The media went out and immediately said, Trump had lots of spy balloons also during his administration. What's that got to do with anything?
That's a horrible party not
just
good
cover.
birthday. No.
I'll tell you, but here's what Biden's clone did. Biden's clone went, and if anybody knows anything about the military, they know for a fact.
Just the military-industrial complex. Sorry, keep going.
All the military people were chomping at the bit to shoot down these devices, even as they touched our coast, even before they got onto our coast. You had colonels and generals on military bases, Air Force bases, who were absolutely calling for authority to shoot these things down. And what do you think? What do you think the president? What do you think Biden's clone did? He definitely
the embarrassment.
He ordered them all to stand down. Talk about treason. Stand down. When an enemy drone weapon system is passing right over our country with payloads, Listen, there's somebody that actually, some people actually got pictures of the balloon devices dropping that little bullet, and you can actually see it coming out of the bottom. And it's actually coming, it's like a glowing little bullet, and it's being dropped right over the targets. Talk about treason. Immediate, not just for Biden's clone, but for anybody in that administration in the line of command.
So this is much more serious than people know.
Oh, this is so much more serious, David, Nino, because right now, we're waiting for the second wave.
We're that vulnerable. All we're waiting on is the second wave of what, balloons, or what are they going to be, or drones?
Okay, remember the movie
They're going to be drones.
The Fifth Wave? Sorry, go ahead. The Fifth Wave. You guys got to watch it. So
That's it, right? Is that the name of the book? That's the name of the book.
The one you're talking about is called The Fifth Wave. All right. Anyway, Nino, what was your question? Because that was really important.
No, so at any moment, really, they could bring in the second wave to knock us out with an EMP. And is this where that we could say that letter in the alphabet, I can't say it on here, talks about the EBS, emergency broadcast system? Is that when they would put this into play?
Yes.
And this hits? Would that be our response? Would that be Trump's response to this?
Yes, but it's also called the EAS, the Emergency Alert System, and it is it will be, at that point, it will be functioning on analog. We'll be getting it through analog sources instead of digital sources. But yes, that's something that's going to be coming up. And so I ask people, please just have your simple 3-step plan for getting ready for when the EAS also kicks in. The moment it kicks in, if you can just have the simplest 3-step plan ready, it can make the difference between panic and directed action.
But this is when they're going to use chaos. This is when they're going to use Antifa and BLM to riot and loot and cause complete chaos and
you guys, I just
war.
Texted you both the Fifth Wave. I saw it. I just texted you both. I don't know if this is the one you're talking about, but same playbook you're talking about. There's been a few movies that are doing this. And then the ones with the zombies banging their heads on your windshield, it's like,
yes, because when
hopefully they're not our family and friends that got the.
And people should start using this language. When the kill chain attack does come, which is the next thing up, it's the next thing up. And it's very possible that, yes, I'm sorry to say, it will be balloons again, but they're actually drones. They're drones because they can move on their own. And it's possible that the next wave, the kill chain attack, will be maybe hundreds of these drones. And then, no matter what the military does, they can't stop them all. They can't stop them all.
But the funny thing is, everybody that said that they saw a UFO, they said those are weather balloons. And now they're using the balloons to use their weaponry to mock all the contactees and experiencers.
Absolutely. So, guys, please, this is the 3-step plan. I've been talking about this with everybody I can. 3-step plan is so simple. When the EAS kicks in, listen, you got to, number one, top off your supplies. Make sure you have stored cash, because at that time, credit cards and everything else is not going to be working. Okay.
But like crypto or gold, silver, or just cash?
Gold and silver. You know, I'm not a big believer in gold and silver, because the majority of those guys, first of all, they're sell certificates. They don't sell the physical stuff. Yeah. And secondly,
keep going though. You said cash. Okay.
So yeah, cash is best. You got to have stored cash in your abode. You got to have stored cash. You got to, number one, top off your supplies. You got to do it at the beginning, because otherwise you'll be doing it in the middle, and that'll be worse. Number two, establish your communications with your people, and gather your people in your home, your apartment, your abode, whatever it is. Gather them. And then step 3, fortify your abode. Fortify your apartment, your home, wherever you're staying, fortify it.
What if your neighbors are complete and total asswipes?
Yeah, well, you're only
I
going to
want to
bring
destroy you.
you're only
Move.
you're only going to bring your people into your abode, whoever, whether they're relatives by blood or whatever. But the main point of security in fortify your abode is that you make sure that only you have control of that front door. You can have all the security locks and gates on your front door, front gate, whatever you want. But if everyone else has access to opening that door, you got no security at all. You got none. So
What
you got
about
to
the
make
people
sure.
knocking on your door? It could be a neighbor being like, "Oh, do you show up with a AR-52? You show. I mean,
That sounds good to me, Laura. I don't picture you with an
Well,
AR
no, I mean,
47, but
or here's a hey, you want some tortilla chips and guacamole? I
yeah,
mean,
but just
what
give
when
it to them through
somebody
the
bangs
window.
on your door in the middle of the night? Because they did that to the January 6th people, the FBI. So how do we, without accidentally guard dogs? I mean,
Call the sheriff's office.
Nino, go.
Call the sheriff's office.
You-
In that movie, The Fifth Wave, one of the interesting things that they did was they showed how all the police departments were ordered to stand down in order to allow the
So that was what it was. I just texted you.
Yeah.
That was the one. Okay.
by the corrupt governors. They were ordered to stand down so that the chaos could proceed and the Chinese goal could be achieved of having many millions of Americans killed by this incident. But one of the things that movie showed also is that the only last people actually serving law enforcement, protecting the people, were the sheriff's offices. And so you may still be able to depend on the constitutional sheriff of your area, and I would do that as well.
This is a very, very important interview. Like this is giving me chills because
Devil in Ohio, not the devil went down to Georgia. That docuseries, the cops were the corrupt ones, which we know with a lot of the SRA. But
Absolutely.
this one, the cops stood down. I can't remember. I got to watch again. But you're right, David. This is incredibly important.
And that's the act of treason.
It would seem to me, though, John, and I'm sorry for interrupting you again, but they would need to do this in the Northern Hemisphere in a time, maybe winter now. I don't think they're going to wait much longer. I don't think they would wait till next winter. I think they would have to strike now because everything that's happening with the investigations in the House, the tide has turned, and they need to hit a skill switch. You saw during the when they had the Twitter execs, what happened? The lights went out. I think they're letting people know, like, this is what's coming. I don't know.
Yeah, and you know what? Oh, let me tell you another double trick that they just did. The balloon, these balloon devices, these drones, they have no reason to bring them down in altitude so that people can see them. They have no reason to do that. The only reason they did that was to let their own allies know that this operation is coming soon and that it is going to pull the trigger on the kill chain attack very soon. That's why they brought the balloons down to a certain altitude so that you guys could see it in Montana and everywhere else. That's the reason, to give the signal out. It's coming. It's happening. And so that's why I try to prepare people. I'm not trying to spread fear. I'm trying to spread preparation. Because
a lot of Montana is turning weird, and they are compromising a lot of the natural areas, and we're all gathering together. Like, I don't think so.
Good, because we have to protect Montana. We have to protect all of our areas.
So, John, are they fast tracking this because of what's happening in the House? Do you think that they are moving forward with this faster than they would like to? Or do you think they're right on time?
Well, in a way, yes, because what they're doing is they're fast tracking it because they're seeing their regime, which is the Biden clone and all the people underneath the Biden clone. They're seeing their people actually getting close to being removed, especially after this act of treason, which is going to be let out of the bag. Well, we're letting it out of the bag right here. We're doing it.
They mentioned Project Mockingbird in the New York Times. They said something about Mockingbird.
That's what we're seeing right now because the media.
All right, go, David. What was your question?
Go ahead.
You go.
The media is, Project Mockingbird, we're seeing in action right now.
They just had a New York Times article about the Mockingbird bird has been exposed. I'll show you guys. Somebody sent it to me.
It has, and that's where we are, and that's why we are in the last few moments before this kill chain attack is launched.
Would you say weeks or months, or because it's going to have to happen this year, correct?
I would say we're within weeks at this point.
Are you serious?
Because now we're getting to the point where the Biden administration, the Biden clone administration, has now committed open public treason. Even if you believe that this is a Chinese spy balloon, that's espionage. That's helping espionage by him telling all the military forces stand down. That's the act of espionage.
So do the good guys know this? I mean, do the white hats know this? Are they like, what's going to be their response? The only response they can have, I don't think they're going to be able to stop it. So the only response I would think they have is EAS.
Yeah, I was just about to address that question, Nino. Yeah, that's the most reasonable thing, is that it's starting to look to me like, and my sources have agreed, that it looks like the white hats are going to allow this operation to go forward. I'm
in contact with the Earth Alliance, and they want no violent intervention. All the white hats have to help plant the seeds like you're doing, and both of you are doing, and I'm trying to do as well, right? They can't do any kind of military, like, violent intervention and meet them on their level, because they're connected to the higher guardians, not the false benevolent looking ETs that are part of.
Well, yeah, I don't agree with that, Laura, because they do violent confrontation all the time with the black hats, and that's been going on consistently.
Well, I'm just saying that Dan Cooper, and as far as there are levels of the military, and I'll send you all that information.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
And the only thing. Oh, but let me mention this.
And yeah, you're probably right. He's talking about a certain level of it.
Let me mention this.
There must be multiple layers. Go ahead. Sorry.
Because I love Dan Cooper, and I love his information. And the part of his information that I agree with is that it does look like nuclear weapons may have been disarmed all over the world at this point. And we don't know how. We don't know how, but it's starting to look more and more like that could be the case. Now, when I spoke to my sources on this particular incident, they said to me, especially the aerospace sources, the aerospace industry sources, they said, oh, well, guess what? You don't need a mini nuke to effect the kill chain attack in order to turn off the grid. It doesn't have to be a detonation of a nuclear. There's a variation. There's a various many of conventional weapons that can be used instead of a nuke that have just as high a yield, or higher kiloton yield, than the nuclear weapons. So you don't need nuclear weapons to begin anyway. There's various. For one example is what you guys probably already know about, the Moabs. The Moabs, they're called mother of all bombs. They have capacity and yield. Though they're conventional, they're non-nuclear, but they have capacity and yield that is as big as the nuclear weapons. So that's one option that could be used.
This is giving me a knot, because I feel this is resonating with me, and I know with all the interviews I've done, I really do feel it's go time. Yeah,
it's common sense too, Nino. If you look at everything that happened, and you look at the fact that they have been trying to manipulate us, and then also that they are moving forward with this inexorably, and it really looks like the white hats could very easily have shot down any of these devices the moment they came close to the coasts, and they didn't. They decided they wanted this to go forward. They wanted this, so that makes me believe they're going to allow the second half to go forward also, and that's the reason for chills right there, because they must have a big purpose in letting it go forward at this point. Yeah, Laura.
And there's a lot he can't share with me, and he knows some of the white hats. A lot of the white hats actually used to be a part of Dark Fleet, and some of them are playing very troubling roles, but they have to kind of like have a double life, so that even Kissinger. All right. That's all I'll say. And I don't know. I mean, Dan's not pulling my leg, but there's some things he can't share because of the new operations he's been put up to.
Absolutely. And so
he doesn't know the full layers of the White Hats, which I think you guys are connecting to, you know?
And, you know, speaking of that, I don't want to be called before any congressional committee. So I have to say that my sources are anonymous. They're anonymous. They're double blinded to me. And they are absolutely anonymous. And so I don't have the ability to reveal who they are. So I just want to say that because these investigations are going to go nuts in the next couple of weeks, and they may actually, like Nino pointed out, they may actually hasten the second level of this kill chain attack, which is coming very soon. That's what we're looking at right now. And I urge people to listen to SG Anon, listen to Judy Byington, We the People News.
SG Anon's video this morning was amazing, and it was so positive. It was beautiful. Oh my gosh. Yes, I heard that one. Yeah.
Please listen to Judy Byington, one of the most superior independent journalists I've ever heard in my life. We the People News, and of course also the great Cliff High. People have to listen to Cliff High, who is also predicting, well, indirectly predicting a lot of these
Cliff
things.
High's amazing, and you Nino did a recent show with him. I've been listening to him
I
for
do
a
shows
really
with SGN on all the time.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm always
tell him, hey, talk to me too. Oh well,
he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. People, please, you have to be careful with these talking heads who just want to talk about how great they are and how important they are and how they're meeting with Donald Trump every 5 minutes to let him know what he should do next. Please, just as soon as you hear these people,
I don't trust that at all.
Have a discerning ear, and just be very careful. You know, also, I don't like, I tend not to like people who give information but won't show who they are. But at this point, we're in such a desperate situation for information that I would say we got to forget about that.
Look,
we got to forget about that.
I think I know who you're alluding to, and I allow everyone on my platform, and I think that, listen, John, I let everyone on my platform because it's important for my audience to discern. I just hope that nobody lumps me into any category. Listen, I told you earlier, I'm trying to get an Antifa guy on my show.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get everybody. I want truth.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want truth. But you know,
and the reason
go ahead.
And the reason that I say that is because the people I just quoted, they don't show their faces. SG Anon, Judy Byington.
Well,
they don't show their
his face.
Who?
SG Anon showed his face on my show.
Oh, he's showing his face now.
He showed it one time, and I asked him, I go, do you want me to air it? And he goes, yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
so
good. Good. I'm glad to hear that. But that's the reason I'm saying that, because you know, the people I'm quoting as reliable sources right now, most of them don't show their faces.
Yeah.
But now I realize we can't get hung up on details like that. We have to go after the important information, no matter where it's coming from, and we have to realize what it is and examine it for itself, and see if it coincides with common sense too. That's the most important thing, because we need to get prepared. We need to get ready, because this is coming. This is coming, and except for the people I just quoted, I don't see anybody talking about it. I don't see them. I just see them repeating the same slogans from mainstream media, like Chinese spy balloons, Chinese spy balloons. That's insane.
So let me ask you this: once they accomplish this and they hit the EMP and it takes out the grid, then they instigate, they ignite civil war. What's going to be the remedy for that? Okay, the EAS goes off, the EBS goes off, and then what? We just stay home, bunker down. The military comes in and takes care of the chaos, or do we have to fight? What do we do here?
I believe that at that time is when, and this is a little weak, but it's at that time is when the white hat militaries are going to be sprung into action, are going to get their trigger point to go into action. I believe that they are going to start the next internet somehow. that will be able to be seen by everybody despite the shutdown, despite the grid
The
shutdown.
problem, reaction, solution game, right? So-
Yeah, and they will, but they're actually on our side. So they will, at that time, they're going to come forward with instructions for us. They're going to be using the EAS on analog as much as they can until they can get it up on some sort of internet system that they are developing right now. And I think that's where we're going to be. And that's where we're going to get our next instructions at that point, Nino. That's where I think we are.
But
This
I
is
mean, a lot of
scary.
people have major trust issues of who's who, especially with the ET stuff. Benevolent looking ETs might not be.
Yeah,
Sorry.
absolutely. Yeah, no, you're right, Laura. Oh, and they should have trust issues at this point. I mean, and that's the reason why I tell people, make sure you have cash in your home. Make sure you have cash in your home to get ready for these 3 steps. Make sure you have it available so that in case the black hats are running, which they will, they're going to be running around with instructions like, hey, come and report to this government center. Come and report to this government center for food and water, and who knows what else. And those of us who are instructed by shows like this, we're going to know not to do it. We're going to know that our trust issues have good reason, and we're going to know to stay away from things like that.
How long? Have you heard any word on how long this will last? Could this be months, a year, longer? I mean, what's going to really happen here, John? What can we expect? Have you gotten any word on what we can expect? How long this will last? If they hit it, when they hit us with this EMP, how long is the grid system going to be down? And how many casualties are estimated?
There's no way to estimate casualties because, as we know, the cabal and CCP and all of their allies, they're hoping for many, many millions and millions of casualties, basically caused by civilians themselves with all these guns. They have this image that every American has like 1 million guns slung over our backs, and we're drunk and we're in public with our guns and we're just shooting every which way. That's their image. So they're hoping that with that image, if that's repeated, 300 million times across this country, they're hoping they're going to be looking at 100 million casualties.
So they're hoping for civil chaos, civil type of unrest, and then they come in and clean up with their military.
Well, I'm not even thinking that far ahead because I'm just looking at when the casualties will happen, and once they have that going in. I don't think they're ever going to have boots on the ground, if that's what you're thinking. I don't think they're looking at that as a possibility, except maybe in California.
They'll just give us a supply chain disruptions, starve us out. With the blackout, we're not gonna be able to get food anyway. We're gonna have the store shelves are gonna be gone in a fucking day.
Right. And now I can tell you the black hats are looking for this to go on for years. But the white hats have been saying it's only going to go on for a maximum of 3 weeks. 3 weeks. That's what they've been
blackout. I mean, not just the blackouts, but the darkening, like 10 days of darkness. Is that
right? The days of darkness are going to be contained within this period, which is going to also be the cyber attack that shuts down everything, and also the grid attack that shuts down everything. And so the 10 days of darkness is supposed to be within that. But the white hat military has said this disruption in general is only going to be for 3 weeks. That's what they're looking at, the parameters of
So
how
we
long
need enough money, food, supplies for 3 weeks, is what you're saying. Roundabout. So about a month.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
this is no different than what really Q has said.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't know if you know, but I believe that Q is actually a group of white hat military analysts and possibly generals, and also who are surrounding a quantum computer of some sort. And so Q is actually like an artificial intelligence that's being used by the good guys. That's what I believe. And that's how Q has predicted so accurately so many things.
So
That's
this
fine.
would have to happen in the northern hemisphere during winter. It would have to be to when they freeze us out. So what I'm thinking they're going to do here, and you tell me if I'm correct in this, hit us with an EMP, knock out the grid system, and then hit us with some kind of winter blast, freeze everybody out.
And
Ignite
that
They did that in Texas, didn't they?
that's exactly right. And that brings me back to something I was going to say to Laura just a moment ago, which is that what just happened in Turkey, was basically a notification to Turkey that NATO has these weather weapons and these directed energy weapons that they just use to trigger fault lines in Turkey. Because Turkey just, and you can look this up in the news, Turkey just told NATO about 3 deal breakers that they came up with, where they were resisting the power of NATO and possibly trying to basically take down the entire organization. It is a cabal organization at this point.
But in Ukraine's a huge hub for the
So
and
it looks like the cabal gave NATO access to these weather weapons and this directed energy weapons.
But they can use that on us.
They could use that on California to
they're
trigger
looking to exterminate even what's her name?
trigger the big ones. Absolutely. And so the non-starters that Turkey attacked NATO with was, number one, they said they were going to withdraw. Without Turkey, NATO loses a lot of its purpose. Also, they were preventing 2 other nations from joining NATO that NATO wants absolutely right away. And then there was a third thing that they were doing against NATO as well. And like the next day after NATO said to Turkey, "Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure? This is your final answer?" And Turkey said, "Yes, that's our final answer. We don't give a crap about you guys." And the day after that was when this unbelievable earthquake happens in Turkey.
And
I'm
it's
pretty
killed
sure
about
Turkey,
30,000 people estimated, right? Or 20,000 to
Yeah.
30,000.
right, but they were trying for a lot more. It's like when the
begin with it.
Yeah, it's like when the cabal knocked down the Twin Towers in New York City. They were hoping for casualties of about 50,000, and all they got was 3,000. That's
What
a huge
safeties
thing.
are in place for this, for America right now? What safeties are in place? I know that I've heard of one, okay? And Wano Saban has come on the program and talked about a certain safety. I get the feeling you're not going to agree with anything that he said, but I mean, he's said there's been safeties in place. Have you?
But what do the safeties do? What do the safeties do?
Something about it goes to control when an emergency hits, all control goes to Cheyenne Mountain, and then that's when from there when Trump shut down or locked down Cheyenne Mountain, then from there it goes into an emergency where they use the EBS, and then the real military, the Q military control comes on board.
They're still trying to put him in jail.
Yeah, that could be absolutely correct, Nino.
Okay.
But you're saying that's triggered once everything
That's
falls
like
apart.
that's the last safety that I know about.
Gotcha. Okay, but I'm sure
And all command goes to Cheyenne Mountain, and then that's when the magic happens. Like supposedly, now I don't know. I'm just
all right, but I'm just saying there's several white hat generals who could take umbrage to being told that they're not a safety right now, because they are doing things every day. They're doing things every day against the cabal, against the black hats. They're doing kinetic actions against the enemies of society, and they're doing that all the time. So,
disclaimer. I'm not claiming to know. I'm just relaying from what I understand that other people. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not.
Right. Oh yeah.
And CG he was talking about the tunnel system going from UK, Scotland, all the underground tunneling. Are they really being addressed? I mean, there's so much word about them clearing out the underground bases. There's a lot of white hat disinformation. What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah. The white hats do put out disinformation all the time, but that safety mechanism that you're talking about, Nino, that is absolutely true, and it is in continuity of government cog plans that are made public all the time. And yeah,
But why do we have to get to there? Is my point. Why can't we stop this from even happening? Why does this need to happen? Why are they going to let this happen? Well, because once they accomplish this, that's like all bets are off, man. It's 50-50 if we make it out of this or not. We got to know there's got to be certain safeties that won't allow this to happen. We can't have chaos in the streets, people killing each other, BLM, Antifa running amok. I mean, there has to be.
You're gonna have an Antifa guy. That's gonna be nuts.
This has to. There's got to be some kind of line of defense before this. There has to be safeties in place before this happens. This should not be allowed to happen. What should be happening is allowing these House investigations to go forth and watch these motherfuckers hanging in tribunals. That's what needs to happen. Not this shit.
I agree.
America doesn't need to be put through this shit.
Absolutely. I agree. Absolutely. But unfortunately it's happening right now. You've got these groups like Antifa and BLM and many others who are killing people in the streets right now. It's happening. It's going on.
The State of the Union with Biden talking about, oh, with the steering wheel, and I have to let Ashley and Hunter and his kids. Oh, yeah, that was the most pathetic. If that's not enough for people to see through it, the Twitter trends are going after Biden, which is a huge flip in Twitter trending. Biden being
yeah, they're getting
pretty positive. What do you think of Elon? Sorry, I don't mean to jump in here.
They're getting closer to basically giving up everything on Biden crime family and basically just doing. And that's another reason why I think this operation is going to be sped up and why we should be preparing for it, because it is going to be allowed to happen, Nino. And I'll tell you, one of the ways that white hat military has been thinking about this is this. They're trying to overthrow this system, not just in the United States, but across the entire world. And there's been a lot of connections made between General Patton and Donald Trump, just because of their physical similarity, I guess. Some people have been saying that Patton died and then Donald Trump was born like the next day or something like that. So people are trying to establish connections.
And,
but here's
the Tesla thing with
General Patton was known for his past lives, right? Didn't he remember his past?
That's
lives?
right. That's right. Yeah.
He was known to have remembered all his past lives, supposedly.
And here's the saying that one of the sayings that Patton was famous for was the number one rule of war is that people die. There will be sacrifice. People die. And the number two rule is that no matter what the generals do, no matter what the soldiers do, you can't change rule number one. And
didn't Esteban say that it was the ultimate sacrifice for those in Turkey to shoot them in the foot somehow? Not like it's just a sacrifice as in dark ritual sacrifice, like when they mock people. There was something he said this morning. I don't know.
The Cabal is an ancient magic religion from Babylon.
Connected to Crowley.
Yeah, so they enforce these rules of sacrifice all the time. That's why in the World Trade Center they were looking for 50,000 casualties. In Turkey, they were probably looking for 1 million, probably like 1 million people to die, because they sacrifice these souls to their dark gods. That's their religion. They're a cult. They're a Babylonian cult. So they enforce this on everybody. But what's going on after that is that there is, and Trump himself has also said, there's going to be a period of great sacrifice. And I believe the reason he says he's okay with sacrifice is because he has actually, I believe, what do you call that? War gamed. He has actually war gamed every one of these timelines where he, for instance, he stops those balloons and the generals, the white hat generals, stop those balloons from ever coming to the coasts of America.
But who shot down the balloon that was supposedly from China, which it isn't, that they shot it down? Or
did that happen over Montana?
They said that they shot it down, and Gogan, who's that woman?
Because I think that it may have been done by a state militia, a state national guards of whatever state that was, because all the federals had the order to not touch those devices. So it may have been National Guard troops that actually shot down that one balloon that you're talking about, Laura. That's what I think. So that's where we are. I think that Trump has used his looking glass technology to look ahead in timelines. If he did this to stop it, if he did this to stop it, Nino.
And they said that looking glass
every
didn't
time
apply after
that he
2012.
did that, what happened was that it made the situation worse. Like, for instance, when he stopped the balloons, or when the generals stopped the balloons, white hat generals, what happened was it forced China to launch the second wave right away. See, so
we
things
can
like that.
this in weeks, honestly. If
I believe in weeks.
If everything you're saying is correct, which I'm not doubting you at all, John, I'm not, okay? But I still have to put discernment out there. I have to say, okay, look,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna fucking jump headfirst into the fucking shallow end here. I gotta like, get in there. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying
Absolutely.
is, I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm just saying I gotta be I gotta look at this. It's gonna take me.
You have healthy
How
discernment.
How much time realistically do you think we have, John? If
Realistically,
I would think they are going to do this ASAP.
yeah, I think we have about a month. That's what I think from right now. I think we have about a month for them to launch this first wave. Because if people start, like, for instance, if this interview was to be shared 2 million times, I think that might come down to 3 days, because they would get really scared. And when they get scared, they act. And
So
so,
you're telling me I shouldn't share this video?
well,
Good
it's the only
that
thing
we
they fear.
pre-recorded.
Information. It's the only thing they fear, is real, true information. They fear it greatly, and it's the only thing that will actually shock them into changing their plans.
The only power they
so-
have is the power they've stolen. They really don't have any power.
Oh, they have
I mean, they have
some
power. They've been at this for
from their cabal minions, and we've seen this in the past. So they're going to be using that power more and more, even if they have to order those minions to sacrifice themselves, which they often do.
Where does the alien? I mean, I often tell my audience that you're an expert on the alien card that they're going to play at some point. When would they play that card? I mean, if they hit this with this EMP, where does that card fit in? Would we all of a sudden see holograms of UFOs in the sky when the blackouts occur? Like, when are they going to play that alien
technology
card?
they're not going to use. Looking Glass was supposed to not be able to see anything past 2012, and they're still able to use it. But yeah, your question, David, yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah, and yeah, no, it's not gonna. When fake alien invasion comes, it has nothing to do with holograms. It has nothing, because the cabal and and some of the nations already have the rock solid. Think UAP, think Tic Tacs. These things are real. They are not holograms.
What does UAP stand for again? Sorry.
Unidentified aerial phenomena, which they use interchangeably with UAT, unidentified aerial threat, because they need you to be scared. And so they're having a lot of these. That's
the loosh they want, right?
The what?
The loosh, the negative energy that they need to provoke in order to be able to continue to siphon and harvest humans' energy. Instead of empowering humans, the divide and conquer and all the tactics to lower the vibration.
Wow. I need to learn about this loosh thing. That's good.
No, it's just generating the negative energy you're talking about. Nice.
Yeah, they're always mindful of that, and they're always doing that as well. It's very important to them. And so, yeah, this wave of UAPs is going to be used against us. And it's not holograms, it's real. And those things have capacities that we don't even know yet. We don't even know what their full attack capacities are, but we're going to find out, because this is one of their final cards they're going to have waiting to happen.
You
So
know,
many people
I've
say
often
we've
said in
won.
this,
It's bullshit. Sorry, we haven't
Yeah.
won yet. Go ahead, David.
I've
Go
often
ahead.
said in this these House investigations, they're speeding up. Like Mike Pence just got subpoenaed, and I was talking to my buddy Jim Caviezel, and he said, you know, this is like the rated G version of the tribunals. This is when it's starting. The tide has turned, and now we're looking at what we're looking at right now is like the soft tribunals. Like it's getting ready to go in that direction, and I think they see this coming. And just like when the lights went out with those Twitter execs, they're signaling like saying, "Don't worry, we got this. We're going to take out the grid." I mean, that's me putting it all together, because what we're seeing right now in the House is it is going in this direction, and very, very fast.
Absolutely, it really
But they
is.
got
Yeah, and you know, and speaking of the UFO connection on this, I want everyone to see 411 Missing, the UFO Connection. It's been #1 for several weeks across all streaming services for movie documentaries, and just people need to see this. They need to see what it is, and this has a lot of information about the UFOs, real, true UFOs. Whenever you hear somebody talking about UFOs, it can be actual extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional UFOs.
What
But-
about the military version? Sorry, go ahead.
But as soon as you hear the military version, as soon as you hear UAP, this is one of the buzzwords of fakery that's going around today with all of these psychological operations. Please be aware of that. Be aware that UAP is all fakery. It's all man-made drones as well, just like these balloons we just saw. Man-made drones, that's what they are. And they're weapon systems also. So we have to be aware of that. We have to be careful with that. And yeah, and I do urge people to see 411 Missing, the UFO Connection. Very, very important movie. And it's very important.
But doesn't that tie into 5G and the technologies of every tower that we see that are 5G? I say that we're 5D when they override frequency.
Yeah, the 5G, we're very concerned about what that's going to do in the future, especially.
I heard it's frying the oxygen. It's frying the oxygen in the atmosphere. Correct?
I don't think
blood clots.
Yeah.
I don't think it can, because I believe that oxygen is a self-renewing resource for us, so it can't.
Yeah, but in the area of the 5G, it's not. I heard it's very. It's.
Isn't that why they're masking everybody to cut off the oxygen supply? That their solution is to actually compromise everything that has and the censorship. You know, that the true truth is being suppressed.
There was a famous scientist that wrote a paper that said during the Spanish flu at the turn of the century that many of the people they thought died from Spanish flu actually died from masks that were unsanitary, and they were breathing in toxic air, and it's what killed them, killed many thousands of them. And the person who wrote that paper when they were very young was Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci when he was very young. It's crazy stuff that's going on.
Laura Worley talks about in 2014, there was a ritual that a lot of the MK Ultra people, this might be why CG, I won't say his name, was compromised and created all these lawsuits and a lot of disruption. They were brought back in and reprogrammed, and Laura Worley was able to see through it. And Fauci was a part of that ritual.
Wow. So
I just did a show with her about it. Anyway, keep going though.
So it appears now that these UAPs are very possibly man-made drones using reverse technology from Roswell. That's what it looks like.
And what the Area 51 guy, what's his name?
Area 51. I'm not sure.
Somebody just did Bob Lazar.
Yes.
Something connected to that. I don't know.
He might have something to say about that. But right now, I just want to let you guys know that Cliff High is estimating that we will get space aliens in August of this year. Whatever else happens, That's what he's looking for.
It must connect to
Whether
the breeding programs, though, of all these abductions and breeding programs.
Well, one of the announcements that I have made is that also by August, I believe that the governments will be announcing that they have found out that many human beings are actually hybrid aliens, and
They'll
that they
say
need
we don't have to look to the skies. We'll just have to look among us.
exactly. And for that reason,
Boom!
they're going to need to send everybody a DNA kit, and everyone's going to have to execute these DNA kits and turn them into the government if you want to know if you're an alien or not. And a lot of people are going to say, "Well, that sounds pretty cool. I think I'm going to do that." And it's
Well,
going
we
to
all
happen.
have like ET genetics, right? But there's
I
a
don't
huge
know.
difference between the hybrid programs and the breeding programs. There seem to
So
be
how-
some positive ones connected to Asasani that Bashar and others represent, but they're coming from the gray alien hybrid programs that are trying to heal the grays, even from the Orion Wars. But then there's the clone grays that, I mean, that's where I get lost.
Huh.
Sorry, I don't mean to interject here, but
No, go ahead. Nino, you froze on me. Oh,
No, I'm just looking at my notes here. I just the first thing that I want to get across to my people, to my audience, is that they need to prepare. And I was wondering, could you go over those steps one more time
Yes.
for people?
yes.
What they need to do to prepare for this?
Yeah.
You're saying not if, you're saying when this happens, right?
Yes. People need to know that the line between
Mag Items is a good prepper. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
complete blind panic and purposeful action and knowing what you're doing is a very thin line. It's a very thin line. And it just having a 1 or 2 step or 3-step plan can make a world of difference. And the 3-step plan that I've been trying to get people to establish before the EAS kicks in is make sure you have cash. Make sure you have cash. I'm not a big believer in gold and silver because when everything hits the fan, these vendors who have the food, who have whatever, they're not going to agree with you on how much a gold coin is worth.
Right.
They're not
Yeah,
going
but
to
the
agree with you.
QR codes and the digital system can red alert so that your bank accounts get wiped. That's why you need to have cash, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And they're not going to agree with you on what a silver coin is worth either. So that's why I'm not a big believer in those. But if you have USD cash, if you have real cash on hand, you can do this. Step 1, top off your supplies, all your supplies. Gas in your car, gas in all your cars, fill them up. Food, water, any emergency supplies, top it all off because you should already have a supply ready anyway. But number 2, establish communications and gather your people, whatever your people are going to be. If they're just your family, if it's just you and your dog, that's it. Get them, make sure they're secure in your place. And number 3, fortify your abode. Fortify your abode, whatever that means. Seal it up, put extra locks on it, whatever you have to do to fortify it. And the number 1 thing in fortifying is make sure whoever you're with knows that only you control the front door. Only you control the front door, nobody else. Because there goes your whole security right there.
Yeah.
If somebody else in your family, goes and opens the door for the crazy neighbor next door that's now converted into a crazy zombie with, multiple guns.
I can't believe we're coming to this.
Food. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. And in reality, most people will be doing all 3 steps at the same time.
Yeah, but they've been setting it up
set
with the FEMA camps and dragging people away. If you go to airports and you get the QR code, you get a red alert because
Yeah.
you're a threat. They'll just drag you off these
Yeah,
camps.
and that's why they're trying right now to lay down the what do you call that? The CBDC, the central bank digital currencies, because that will be the final prison upon all of us, returning us to feudal times where we're going to be in prison. Because once they have that on us, connected to our banks, they control everything.
So you're saying once this EBS hits, then the EMP hits, then they're going to come back with the digital dollar. the digital currency. That will be the next move. So when we come out of the blackness, the only way to buy anything will be through a digital code.
That's
The
what they're
QR
planning.
codes is what
That's the
I've
great
been
reset
hearing.
right there. That's the great reset that
The
they're looking
QR
for.
codes where you have to scan it and they will take money out of your account or wipe it out.
Exactly. Or they'll tell you that what you spent money on yesterday was verboten. Verboten. You're not allowed to do that. And now you're going to lose a bunch of
With
points.
the surveillance cameras,
So that now
they
you're not going to be
can-
able to travel to your next conference because they are locking you down for doing the wrong thing with your money. You
the
see?
facial recognition, right? That's why it's like, I won't be wearing the mask. I might put a Halloween mask on and be like, oh, try and surveillance that.
Oh, yeah. But they're going to.
Dollar store and Whole Foods, I heard are adopting that in many states in this country, just like China.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so people have to prepare now. They have to get ready. Just put the simplest of systems in place just to be prepared, guys, because time is running out. This is urgent. I am not spreading fear. I am spreading preparedness. That's what we need, guys, because there's not many people helping us with this. We're on our own with this. And it really is looking like the white hats feel that they need to let this happen. I'm sorry.
With that, I'm going to go ahead and go now. I have to take my parents to dinner, but John, where can people find you while they can?
While they can find me at johntamabooks.com. My books and Holotech products are on sale. For books, use code FBI30. FBI30 for 30% discount on my books like The Clear Hearers, which has to do with stuff that's going on right now.
Can you spell that out, John? What?
JohnTamaBooks.com.
So,
that one.
Tama.
Bella, and
Yeah.
you sent all the links that I'll put in the video. I'll send them. I'll forward them to you, David.
Okay.
Yeah, excellent. And basically, I am right now. We're receiving from the governments and from people something called messages and feelings. This was something that was ferreted out by Cliff High of all people. Cliff High found out that a lot of people were getting these messages, and the messages were 7 words. Were just 7 words, and the messages were, go ahead, take the, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And the messages were being accompanied with feelings of comfort and goodwill. That's what was happening. Wow. So that even people in areas of Montana that had no cell reception, no reception of any kind, people were getting these messages. That is voice to skull technology. That is the stuff that I have predicted in my book, The Clear Hearers, that it's going to be going on. And now it's going to be going on point forward, where we're going to be getting messages about the next wave of balloons. We're going to be getting messages once the grid is shut down. And the messages at that point probably will be just one word: panic. It's time to panic. That's probably what the message will be. And that's why people need to look at my book, The Clear Hearers. Just read some of it. It's available on Amazon. There's parts of it that are available for free. Just read it so that you can be prepared to know the difference between when you're getting messages from your higher self or when you're getting messages from the cabal, who has learned to imitate clear hearing perfectly. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at here. It is crazy. So, and for Holotech products, I also sell charms that will keep people from disappearing in the national parks. That's allegedly.
Is that our buddy that we did the conference with?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Holotech
What's
products.
his name again?
I don't remember. His name is Mr. Holotech, I think. And also for Holotech products, use code FBI50. FBI50 for 50% off. And that's it. I want to try to give people devices that will help them during this time, and things that will help them to be protected. That's so important during this time. Go ahead, Nino. Are you saying?
Are you going to send me those links?
Yep.
Okay. John, thank you so much for coming on our program again. And Laura, it's awesome always as always to co-host with you. Thank you so much for setting up this interview. You guys are both
Absolutely.
awesome, and let's hope we have another one before the shit hits the fan.
Right.
Okay, Nino, maybe I'll see you on the other side.
And me too.
All right, all right guys.
All right,
All right.
guys.